something about it. That's the position you're in now. That's where we are right now. So this isn't about winning over Christmas, being naughty, having your families around and hugging your granny. That's not about that. We've lost this Christmas. We've lost 2020. But 2021 is the year that we mark our time that we set our futures. And we get out the corruption and the traitors out 10 Downing Street. And then we have the future that we want for our children. We will have the future for our children that we want. To be educated the way that the first thing they learn in their education is right and wrong. The very basics of right and wrong. Not the education set up by Bill Gates and the World Health Organization. You can't go wrong. And any constitution that we build on in future will begin with the child. Protecting the child. Because if you do that, you protect your futures. And what we've done, they have absolutely exploited our what's the word I'm looking for? Our
naivety, our kindness.
Yeah, it is our kindness, but it is our tolerance. They've exploited our tolerance. Because we are a nation that accepts everybody, knows right and wrong, they've set the rules and the courts.
They're taking our tolerance for weakness.
They are taking our tolerance, that's precisely it. That's what it is. And what we've done is, with all these little chips away, salami slicing, all these rights that they're bringing in. They're not rights to empower us, they're rights that then we have got to overcome. Alright, I'm not going to go into all that, but we all know what we're talking about. So they've exploited our tolerance, they've exploited our democracy. And how we get around that is we no longer do isms. We no longer do party politics, one against the other. Because polarisation, a bit back I was talking about you two, polarisation where they get you first of all doubting each other. Yeah? Then you need an enemy. Now do you know who the enemy is now?
Satan.
The government. But do you know how we know that? Because what they've got now, your army are supposed to be pointing the guns at the enemy. Instead, they've got us now pointing needles at our children. That's when you know treason and traitors are in our government. When your army, they're supposed to be pointing at the enemy, pointing their guns at the enemy, and now in our schools pointing needles at our children. Yes? And what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? Get our freedom back. But the best way now we get our freedom back, the way we get our freedom back now, is you cannot control an angry mob. And all the marches that we've had so far, I've got to absolutely kiss every single person, the thousands of people, because what they did, even when they were provoked, they stood by. They stood back and they carried on peacefully. Because we cannot control an angry mob, but we can control our peace. And that peace is our strength. Do you understand what I've just said? Does everybody, if you don't understand, I'll explain again. If you've got an angry mob, you're playing the government's game, the tyrant's game. Because when they're doing that, they can control an angry mob by just sending forces in and police forces in, right? They have done it, but they've only done it briefly. But when we are peaceful, we can then speak to each other and control our peace. So if we carry on working lawful, like we did in the fracking for 10 years, we beat them because we were lawful. We beat them with their own tools. Yeah? It's not that smart, really. It really is quite simple. Everything I do is simple. So if we can keep, when we march in peace, we control our peace, then we can bring down the government lawfully and peacefully. And then what we don't do on the front line is attack the officers and shout in the officers' faces down there, because their children go to the same schools as ours. Their grandparents are in the same nursing homes that are being affected. So what we do is we march, we take on the inspectors and the ones above, the ones that are controlled, the masons that are controlling them. We expose them. So what I'm asking you to do today, I'll do a little bit more a bit later on, this is just a filler. While the main men turn up, the main women turn up. Okay, so we're going to be, oh, can I tell her we're going to be doing that in a second? In 5 minutes we're going to be marching. Get you warmed up, get you warmed up. Hip, 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 hip. I know we're doing some more cheers, a bit more talking a bit later on. But I just want to pass on to everybody.